Hey guys, how's everyone doing? I wanted to do a quick video on taking emotional risks. And what does that mean? That essentially means you taking the risk to feel some level of emotional discomfort, any negative emotion, feeling, whatever may come up for you, because the absolute need to run away from any negative emotion or feeling or sensation is what is in many ways, I would say that's one of the core things that happens with every OCD sufferer, and that's what's keeping a lot of people stuck, because that the relationship that we develop with discomfort itself and the relationship we develop with any unwanted thought or feeling is what drives the entire OCD cycle. I don't want this thought, let me try and get rid of it. I don't want this feeling, let me try and get rid of it. I don't want this sensation, let me get rid of this. I don't want this uncomfortable thing or situation in my life, let me try and avoid it and get rid of it. So everything is just this constant kind of like chase for wanting to minimize or eliminate, in fact, not even minimize, eliminate any kind of negative or emotional kind of risk that we don't want to have in that way. I was I was guilty of this myself massively, because the thing that I was doing all the time was scanning my internal kind of like feelings and my thoughts all the time, and trying to identify, okay, where is the some kind of like malfunctioning. And malfunctioning for me was any negative thought or feeling, which is insane to think about now, because I mean, how can like any negative thought or feeling just be malfunctioning? That would mean that pure and all right functioning is essentially the complete absence of any negative thought or feeling. So that's what I was doing, and then I this was an actual kind of like ritual almost I would do. But at the end of the day, I would sit down to review my entire day and really think about what are some of the emotional kind of like risky things that happen, and how do I make sure that in the coming days I don't do things that are going to make me are going to get me close to having that emotional risk again. Because in my mind, the fear was that if I have any kind of emotional risk, if I take any kind of emotional risk, and there is an actual negative emotional outcome of it, what if it's so bad that I'm not able to then eliminate it from my life? What if it sticks somewhere here and then I'm unable to kind of like get it off me, and I stay stuck in that feeling? So that's why I was trying all the time not to take any emotional risks at all, and reviewing each and every single day so I could make sure that the next day nothing of the sort happened. And this is what was that internal fear thing as well, the fear of being stuck with an uncomfortable emotion, and the fear of an uncomfortable emotion then completely affecting the rest of my life. Maybe then me being either depressed for the rest of my life, or angry, or bitter, or just overall just generally miserable for the rest of my life. And of course, that was latching onto some main things such as contamination OCD. And for me, like any form of contamination OCD, by the way, is going to manifest itself in a physical form. So even if you have like mental contamination or emotional contamination, which I had, it will still manifest in a very, very physical way, right? So for me, like that's where the fear was, that I need to uncontaminate myself, or essentially cleanse myself or sanitize myself in every sense of the word. Like in a mental, physical, and emotional sense, I needed to sanitize myself. Why? So that like those emotions don't stick in my life, and they don't eventually then ruin the rest of my life. And in my mind, I had this false illusion that if I was able to pinpoint exactly what the issue was and where it was coming from, I could have control over it, and I could make sure that it doesn't mutate into something bigger or worse into the rest of my life, right? So that's why I was doing that. So it was a very exhausting mental process. It just completely drained me all day long, because I was constantly scanning and neutralizing thoughts and feelings that were coming up all day long. Like I was constantly trying to neutralize negative thoughts and feelings that were coming up. So you're going to feel like you need to do that in order to like stay on like a sane and controlled path of life. And so I was experiencing this in the form of my main themes like contamination OCD, like relationship OCD as well. But what I like with any other OCD sufferer, you have to realize that outside of your main theme itself, OCD is probably going to be a part of your overall life as well. It's going to be affecting more areas of your life than you right now originally think. And when I step back and because I really started to think that okay, like I've been obsessing about contamination and relationship OCD for so long, and these are things that are affecting my life, but let me zoom out a little bit more and just stop thinking purely like okay, like where's OCD and where do I need to eliminate OCD. Let me take a step back and think about how do I overall improve things about my behaviors and my reactions overall that can marginally like improve my life, significantly improve my life. And when I stepped back and zoomed out a bit, of course I realized that oh wait, like that low frustration tolerance and that absolute allergic reaction towards anything uncomfortable was there throughout my life. um, a very small example, I completely stopped wearing any kind of pants or jeans that required a belt, right? So I would make sure to wear things like, those, what do they call them now? Kind of like jogger pants, but they look like pants, but they have like a jogger belt. So then you don't have to put a belt on. It just like basically clasps around your waist kind of thing. So I started to wear those quite a lot because I was like, hey, this is convenient. I don't have to wear a belt because I felt like a belt was inconvenient and it was kind of like it would annoy my waist, and sometimes I would feel the belt a lot, and I was just like, no, I don't want to feel any tightness around my waist. I just want, that kind of thing. And so, and again, it wasn't just a very thing, like a small thing of like, oh, it was just a small preference. No, when I looked at it as a pattern across my entire life, I was avoiding any kind of, again, emotional risk. Anything that I thought would give me a bad emotion, including a belt, because I was like, oh, a belt is going to make me feel annoyed. I don't want to feel annoyance because that's also an emotional risk a little bit. I don't want to feel any negative emotion. I was avoiding places that I thought are going to, let's say, either annoy me or exhaust me. I was avoiding conversations. I was avoiding content that I thought would give me any negative emotion. So I was avoiding again any piece of clothing or any other physical thing that I thought was just going to give me a negative emotional response, because every small thing felt like an emotional risk. That's what I'm trying to the reason I'm constantly repeating this is because I'm trying to highlight how it completely plagues your entire life and dictates all your behaviors. It's not just about your main theme then. Because with OCD, you overall have a very allergic reaction to any form of emotional discomfort, and you will not want to face that. You're going to want to completely run away from that. So it's important, something just important to keep in mind, because it helps you identify more compulsive behaviors. It also helps you identify some more fears and beliefs that you can work on, and you can also then see your recovery journey as a bit more of a fuller kind of like from a fuller lens, and not from this like just tunnel vision of like okay, I just need to work on relationship OCD and then I'm fine. No, it's like probably going to be far more than that. A lot of people we work with are also people who, regardless of whatever theme they might have, they also sometimes get into frequent arguments with, let's say, their family, or they sometimes have been fired from multiple jobs because of bad behavior at their workplace, or they have fallen out with quite a lot of their friends sometimes, and they don't have a lot of friendships because across the years this has happened. And again, this is regardless of whatever theme you may have. It's not theme specific. It's just a personality trait that happens. Why? Because oftentimes, due to low frustration tolerance and due to a lack of acceptance, those very extreme or erratic or just overall like bad behaviors are coming out into life. And that's why, like, when we're working with people, again, regardless of whatever theme, we also have to work on things like their anger and things how easily frustrated they get or how frequently they're arguing with people, because those you don't realize right now. You might not realize it. You might be like, okay, but what has that got to do with my OCD? No, it has everything to do with your OCD, because as an OCD sufferer, you are also an irrational human being, and so all your irrational beliefs and behaviors are then feeding into your extreme emotional reaction. So whether that's towards specific OCD triggers, or even if it's towards just your regular things in life, or other people or situations that are not directly related to your OCD topic, it fuels all of that. So just something to keep in mind, and something to really also work on as you're working on your OCD recovery journey. If you want to come in for one-to-one calls, you can message us on WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp number is down in the description below. It's also on all our platforms and flyers and everywhere. We've put our WhatsApp link and number essentially everywhere, so you can contact us very easily. If you don't find it, just go to our website. You're going to find our WhatsApp tab over there, and you can get in touch with us over there, or you can email phil@ocdrecovery.com. We are also now offering a subscription service, which means that you can come in for regular one-to-one calls, and you can have all the webinars in the month as well. We're also now doing some webinars that are exclusively for subscribers, just to help them give a bit more of a hands-on kind of advice and help as well. But yeah, if you're interested in any of those things, if any of those things sound good to you, please reach out to us. We can really help you get your life back on track. And yeah, have a good rest of the weekend. Take care. Bye.